Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Recently I showed you the video of my trip to China and that we went to the PCB factory. Well, the next process in the chain is going to the PCB Assembly factory. So we took another drive. Funny fact, a lot of the highways, or all of them I drove on really, or well, I didn't drive, we got driven in that sense, but they're all tollways. Anyway, we arrived in a different town where the PCB assembly plant was located, and first off we took a tour through their storage room. So they have a little desk there, and people who sort out all the components and orders they receive from companies. They basically get all the components in from people like Allnet, who do my component procurement, and they stack it, or they store it in these big boxes, and they had a whole warehouse with lots of boxes for lots of customers, and they store the reels in there. But then if you use like half or a quarter or whatever amount of the reel, how do you know how much is still on that reel? Well, they had this really cool X-ray machine where you just put a reel of components inside, it slides into some sort of drawer, it X-rays the hell out of it, and then it comes back and it shows you the component count that are still on the reel on the screen. Never seen anything like that before, and that was really cool. So once they have all the components, the first step is going to the automated PCB assembly, so using a pick and place machine. Now I was here with my friend Tom, and we had to dress up in this get up here and go through an air tunnel, and the first thing you'll see in this room is the pasting machine, which is a metal sheet with holes drilled in it, and those holes correspond to the spots where they need to apply the paste to the PCB. And as you can see here, that's all automated, and once that has gone through the automated pasting machine, it goes through an automated inspection machine, which checks if all the paste is in the right spots and with the right quantity for that specific component. Once that's done, it moves through a conveyor belt to the next machine, and that's one of the multiple pick and place machines they had set up there. Now they have multiple, and most boards go through multiple because each pick and place machine can only have so many reels. I think they probably have some standard reels on there, I don't know. But they have the machines, the reels loaded that customer board needs. Now each of these machines has one giant head that moves around, but each of those heads has multiple suction little cups on there, which take the component out of the reel and deposit it onto the board to the right spot. Now, not all components are the same size, so that's also the reason they had multiple machines. Those machines have different heads in there, so that, for instance, if you have to pick up an ESP32, it's much bigger and heavier than an 0402 resistor, they can have the different heads on the different machines, load the components there, it goes through all of those machines, and then all of the components are placed. Of course, that also needs to be inspected, so the last step before the oven is an optical inspection machine which checks if all the components are in the right orientation and placed down correctly into the paste. And once that is done, it goes through an automated oven. Sadly, I don't have a real good shot of this, but it basically goes through this oven through a standardized process for the board type and paste type, and then it comes out the other side fully soldered. Again, of course, there's an inspection here again, and they even had an X-ray machine on the side of the room, probably to check if some solder things are okay or not. We didn't get an explanation about that. And then once it's done in this automated assembly room, you can see a whole rack here of PCBs that are done, you go through to the through-hole assembly room. The first thing you get greeted with is the T area. I thought that was funny. And here we can actually see that they're working on some QuinLED boards. Now, these have all been assembled using the machine, so with the pick and place machines, but they also have through-hole pins that need to be assembled with a different process. Here you can see a lady putting the QuinLED ESP32's panels into a board with custom cutouts. And that's because the pins are wave soldered, but you don't want that solder to reach all the other components that are on the same side. So they have these custom jigs of, I don't know what kind of material, but it's at least resistant to the solder, and they put them in there and put the pins in there, and then it goes through the machine and that automatically solders all the pins. So there's like these little fountains of molten tin and flux, I guess, in there, which all then automatically solders the pins. And there's a guy on the end who checks if everything's soldered correctly, and then takes out all the components of the jig and puts them on the side. Now, if you need more custom soldering, here are some stations where they were doing custom work, which wasn't suited for the wave soldering. So they do one-off soldering, and here's a big tub with all kinds of pre-pent TOW 2020 packages. So MOSFETs or voltage regulators, I don't know what it was, but it was a large amount. And they get soldered on manually if the production requires that. They can also do custom cable soldering to your PCB if that's required, and they have testing jigs from clients to test the PCBs if everything went correctly. Now, we don't get that service from this company. That is something that Allnet does, so you'll see in the next video in this series. After that, here you can see some racks filled again with QuinLED ESP32 boards. This was around November, so we had a big order going there to try and supply everyone with the boards if they wanted to buy them. Next up, we see a machine that is basically a panel cutter, because it's still in this panel or frame with multiple boards together, and this machine routes that out, and as you can see here by the waste product by the side, it basically takes those off, and then each board gets put into an individual tray to transport to Allnet in our case, or well, to the customer. Last machine we have here is the PCB washing area. Sadly, we didn't see this in action, but they had this booth machine here, which is likely to clean off flux and other residue after maybe manually soldering it or something like that. And well, that's already it. Now our PCBs are produced. Sadly, we didn't see everything using the QuinLED PCBs, but I was there at a time, and luckily they were doing some of the work at that time, but you never know. It's hard to schedule. As I said, next video will be how we flash and test all the PCBs, and take a little look into Allnet and what they do over there. Hope you enjoyed watching this quick tour of an assembly plant there. I certainly Loved watching it. And I hope to see you back in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.